Here we goes 2 hour explanation. No, no.
You have the floor, Martin. Give us the whole TED Talk. Go for it. Welcome to Finance in the Clouds. Modern finance is broken, forcing finance and accounting teams to work like it's 1985, the year Excel was invented. Here, we talk about the struggles finance teams face in fast-growing companies and discuss how they can spend less time catching up and more time in the clouds. I'm your host, Jake Jones, multimedia producer and brand influencer at Zone & Co., and I'm joined this week by Martin KalKuhl, partner at Alta, and Julia Kahn, Suite Apps Sales Manager at Zone & Co. It's a pleasure to have you both today.
Thanks, Jake. It's a pleasure to be here as well at this beautiful day of the week. Thank you.
Sounds good, Jake. Thanks for having us.
As more and more companies are turning to digital solutions for their data management and storage, how a company protects their data is more important than ever. So today, we're going to be talking all about the importance of data protection. So Martin and Julia, thanks again for joining us, being on the show today. Before we dive into our topic, I did want to give you both some space just to kind of introduce yourselves, tell us about yourself. So Martin, why don't we start with you? Tell us who you are, who you work for, and what you do.
Sure. Well, I'm Martin. I'm 54. I'm living in Berlin, and I'm with Alta Consulting GmbH since 2011. Alta is the first NetSuite solution provider in the DACH region. We have been handling a lot of projects over the last 12 years, and we have been growing from 2 to 40, almost 50 people now. Heard the right number this morning, so that's good. And we have the special thing about us, I would say, is we are so super international internally. We have 17 nationalities in one room. I mean, Pakistan and India and Kazakhstan, Ukraine and Russia in one room these days. It's really not challenging. It's nice to have it, and they are talking to each other. There's no problems, and I think that's worth mentioning these days, especially with the war going on. Yeah, but I'm enjoying my sales role and my partner role and my business development for the partner ecosystem, which finally brought me to such a nice podcast recording, which I love to support you with today.
You're a valuable partner, Martin, and we really appreciate you taking the time again. So thank you, and glad to hear about the diversity in the office. That's awesome that all works so well and is such a great environment. Julia, how about you? Tell us what you do for Zone.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be here, first of all, in such company. And we worked with Martin before because I work, initially I joined Fast4 around 2.5 years ago. And now we are joining our forces with Zone & Co., which is a very exciting period of time. I'm a sales manager. I'm responsible for EMEA region. And what we do, we help customers get most of NetSuite. So we work with NetSuite professionals. We work with wonderful partners like Alta and others. And what I personally love about this is that this work gives me a chance to speak with lots of different companies, different partners at very exciting period of time when they are growing and they need a solution to keep up with their growth. So yeah, that's about me shortly. I'm based in Amsterdam, which is the city I absolutely love.
Thank you for being here, Julia. Both of you are very excited to get into this conversation about data protection. So before we kind of really get deep into it, let's kind of lay the foundation here. What are we talking about when we're talking about data protection? So Martin, this is a topic you're really passionate about. Why don't you kind of explain what we're talking about here?
Yeah, sure. Data protection. This is, we are in Germany, and whenever whatever hits Germany, then the third sentence you will hear is, "Oh, I can't tell you this and that because of data protection," right? So that somehow shows how deeply and how important this is, how important I believe it's really necessary, and so on. That might be another question, but that's just the status. And in terms of working with NetSuite and data centers and data security and data processing agreements and whatever happens, there's a bit of history already behind it. And short explanation is it used to be a so-called safe harbor statement in place. I think it was 2000 to 2015. Then it was that was purely because between Europe and the US, and there's two different rules. And of course, NetSuite customers who have subsidiaries in Germany needed to have the security that the German part of Oracle would work under the laws of Europe. And this was taken care of by this safe harbor statement. Yeah, some guys were tricky, obviously, and someone found out. That was a court case about it. And so that was then had to be renamed and rephrased and rechecked. And the final result today, I think it's called a privacy shield, which under the EU, the European Commission has been formulated again to make sure that your data is safe. And a good explanation is you might have a customer in the US, comes up with a German subsidiary. The customer still stays with his data in the US part, but the German ones want to be sure that their data is safe. So it needs to have a contract, a data processing agreement, and such a thing in place to give that security to the customer, or any countries in the world, like especially that, with the US and Germany, it might be one thing, but Russia at the moment, or China, and so other topics where you see how does that work. And for this, this is in place. That would be my quick answer at the moment. I'm sure there's a lot to say about the easiness of handling all of this, but I believe there will be more questions coming up.
Absolutely. Yes. We're going to get it all into that. And so thank you for laying that groundwork, though, of just the complexity of multiple countries having different rules, different standards, and just kind of how do you navigate all that is a really interesting topic. And I'm excited to get into that. So, Julia, before I move on, is there anything you'd like to add to that? Just kind of the foundation of what we're talking about here with data protection?
Yeah, of course. I think data protection nowadays is a very relevant subject. And for us, as a party working with a lot of international projects, we benefit a lot from working with such experienced partners like Alta, who knows all the local specifics. And what we see is that some countries are particularly certain about the requirements that they have for data protection and security. And we hear such questions and concerns mostly from DACH area, from German-speaking countries, and also from France. I know that NetSuite also works extensively on being compatible with the requirements and audit requirements of those countries. But I think it also can be business specifics, because some businesses, they deal with the government and they have stricter regulations. But overall, yeah, we had experience with all kinds of customers from most of the European countries, I guess.
Yes, and it's so important to have partners like you, Martin, who understand the local rules and regulations and are able to help with that. So that's awesome. That's definitely, if there is a tip we could give anybody, that's the thing, right? Partner with people who are local, who know what they're doing. And that's a great way to work it. So just kind of jumping into this all kind of stems from companies are moving to cloud-based storage systems for their data. Obviously, NetSuite is a huge part of this, Oracle, but there are other solutions as well. But everyone is going paperless. Everyone is moving their data digitally, and for lots of reasons, right? Ease of access, ease of storage. Martin, what are some of these other benefits? And then I know we've kind of talked about in the past of are there any risks to this? And I know, Martin, you don't really think there are, but just kind of talk about that. What are some of the benefits? And if there are any risks in your mind, what are they with going to these cloud-based systems?
Well, I would divide my experience into two parts. One part is there is companies out there who have by nature super high compliance demands, right? Pharmaceutical companies, chemical companies, they are all in this life science. Food companies might also have higher compliance demands. And of course, we want to make sure if we have 1 milligram of whatever ingredients in our medicine, we want to make sure it's really 1 milligram and not 1.1. And rounding differences with currencies and so on, there's ERPs who handle it this way or that way, and from API incoming streams, and then NetSuite rounds it this way and the external system rounds it the other way. This cannot be handled. So there they are absolutely depending on highest security levels. Okay. For them, NetSuite production, some things might not be the best. Manufacturer might not be the first choice because it's in the cloud and the regulatory affairs wouldn't allow it. Okay, but we have so many more. We have software companies, e-commerce, wholesale, services, any kind of web shop connecting or platform connecting companies. They don't care about this that much, although it's about payment numbers and so on. Fast4 knows about it very much and is one of the best products there that is offered in the market. And the example would be you have this the AP process where data is collected, and travel expenses and expenses, all those documents, they might end up in a storage that should be secure and not be changed because that's tax relevant, right? Just a very short, quick explanation or quick example. There's solutions in Germany that are taking care of this. And but we have to talk. I would have to explain a little bit more in this particular field a little bit later, probably with one of the next questions. Where do I see this risk? Do I see a risk? Do I see a risk about data compliance requirements, data security, data protection at all? You said it. I don't see it. Why? I mean, you should control it. And of course, Germans are always a little bit seen in the world as, you're always questioning a little bit one more time, or before you start something, it takes longer. But then the same people who like it later on ask themselves, why do they do it right? And then the answer is because we asked 2 times more. So it's like, it's good and bad in the same. Sometimes I wish it would be faster. Things are faster. But on the other hand, on the big picture, Germany is the engine of Europe, and we are requested those questions from not only from Netherlands, but only from Poland and from Slovakia and from Austria, Switzerland, Italy, kind of thing. So why are you so nervy with your data protection? Yeah. What can I say?
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot. It's so important that it is protected. And I love that. A good summary kind of in my mind of what you just said there, Martin, is basically there's no risks if you do it right. If you take the precautions that you need to, if you are compliant, and if you, like you said, if you ask that question twice, if you make sure that everything's in order, it can be really a beneficial system to be in the cloud. Julia, did you have anything else, just kind of benefits or risks that you've seen in your work with moving to a cloud-based system like this in the realm of data protection? So,
yeah, not particularly the risks, but I find it quite insightful what Martin shared, like regarding the different verticals and different specifics. And this is also what we see, because there are quite a lot of like startups, scale-ups, tech companies who seem to be quite satisfied with like what NetSuite offers out of the box. And I think that NetSuite has already quite high standard. So I thought it was quite interesting that, it can be also like business specific, and it's not something that is like one size fits all, and it needs to be addressed with particular customer needs.
One big part of this, and something that we have in a lot of our solutions with, again, Zone acquiring Fast4, but through the Fast4 apps that we're starting to bring in, we have this optical character recognition system, and this plays a huge part into kind of our data protection and how this all works. So, Julia, you know a lot more about it than I do, so why don't you kind of just take away the reins with that and just talk about what is optical character recognition, and how does it play a part in all this?
Yeah, of course. So as you mentioned, like now we're at the stage where we are becoming one big company. So we're Zone and Co. But in Europe, we're well known as Fast4. The company was established around 10 years ago, and our suite apps are quite well known. So first of all the suite apps that we have, including our optical character recognition solution, Zone Capture, they are built for NetSuite. So it means that they live within the NetSuite environment, which I think is already quite a high standard on its own. The customer can be sure that all the security precautions, the development standards are the same as NetSuite. And of course, from the user perspective, everything happens in one screen, and everything happens in a single solution. So why customers are so keen to go for OCR solution, and why we often see it on the RFPs, RFIs from the colleagues, is because it takes away the manual labor. And of course, the finance team, especially the growing companies who are about to implement NetSuite as an ERP solution, they would like to have as little manual entry as possible, and this is where we come into play. So we make accounts payables teams' life easier by just introducing this solution as an enhancement to the NetSuite environment.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we're all about here at Zone, is trying to make finance teams' life just a little bit easier and better. So that's awesome. Now, Martin, OCR has a really interesting background in Germany. So, and obviously you're our expert here on this. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay. In my previous job, here we go, 2 hour explanation. No.
You have the floor, Martin. Give us the whole TED Talk. Go for it.
I was mentioning the pharmaceutical industry, and I was working for a pharmaceutical contract manufacturer software solution provider. And there we had to implement the document management system as well. That time I had no idea, the world had no idea that what you could do with cloud. NetSuite existed, but it wasn't here, and I didn't know it, and it was just coming. So these systems were external, and they were at that time on-premise, and 10 times more expensive than the ERP system and so on. So nowadays, as Julia mentioned, the specific parts of the processes who speed up the time and make it really easy to work are, if they are natively in NetSuite, as the OCR from Scan and Capture, or not the OCR, the Scan and Capture solution, then that saves a lot of time, and it's really handy. You don't have to leave the place. Great. From the audit proof storage point of view, it becomes a problem because there's no real answer there yet. Right? I'm sure that the Oracle OCI data center would be able to deliver whatever is needed, but that's just not enough, because the German IRS would have to say yes to this and confirm it and approve it. And but that's only half of the truth, or a quarter, or a portion of the truth. The real problem in the end is, what is your company's real digital document strategy, right? Do you just want the AP invoices, audit proof stored, or on the expensive on top? That's it? No, that's not enough. It's you have contracts, you have other invoices, you have documents, you have emails, you have all sorts of things. You have HR documents. Doing all of this in NetSuite is impossible, so you might have to have an external solution. Once you go to an external solution, then you have the shit. It's like you have to leave your system. So that, in my eyes, only makes sense when you're in a particular size. But believe me, in Germany, there is companies with that particular size, which NetSuite hasn't really touched yet, right? The journey has just begun. I keep saying that every day. It's like, I've heard it the first time when Zach Nelson was CEO of NetSuite 2011 at the Suite World opening words were, it's only the beginning. We need your partners to spread the word, right? And it's not, that wasn't meant for document storage or OCR topics or audit proven. It was just cloud, right? And so I'm super positive. We just have to keep going and working on it and find a good solution that fits. So my recommendation is always, why don't you start easy and lean? And if you just want an audit-proof storage, connect it, but don't leave your processes outside. Go outside with your processes, because if you're going to an external systems, there are solutions there for, name it, develop, DocuWare, Elo. Also becomes kind of expensive, I would say, right? But then you're talking about what is here, and then it comes about the strategy. What part of that external system do you want? What feature do you use? Box would be a good example. Do you want collaboration with documents and maybe use more of the Box app platform to implement, right? Then Box is a great solution, better than Google Drive and OneDrive from Microsoft, because it's perfect, right? It's super secure, 256. The security level, 60. It's 64 and 256. I'm sure the audience will know what I mean. But if you have, for example, you have more to do with onboarding of new resources, then you might have a completely different problem. So you have to look at these things, and it's only the invoices. Then why don't you let them stay in NetSuite? And by the way, I hear that there might be something coming more towards in that direction from Oracle in such a solution, because it's all there. It's just not approved. This audit, right? We have an audit trail, so you can see who has accessed the document, who's done this, who has done that. You can lock it, right? Is it locked in terms of what German authorities might want? Well, maybe not yet, but then you build something. What about administrators accessing the document? Are they allowed to access or not in terms of audit-proof requirements? And so, but with a tool easy like NetSuite, easy to customize and change and make it available to everyone and make it better, that would be easily possible. Does it have the same enough features like document management systems out there have? Another question, but you can do a lot more within that such a tool, a cloud-based tool with all the features that NetSuite has with the development platform, right? And so, again, that's why I said I have no concerns. We can make it better. These requirements come up anyway, right? So there's new requirements coming up every day, and they will continue coming up. And we don't want to have the answer, there's a limit, we cannot do this or that. That answer is you will hardly ever hear in NetSuite, and this is what makes me positive. And I believe in the next 10 years I will be doing the same thing.
Yeah, NetSuite is such a cool tool, and again, talking like you said, the customization that you have, and it's really interesting though to hear about this audit proof and audit proof storage, of how it basically, like you said, it could work. It's just not approved yet, and so that's really exciting to hear about that, and to know that that's something that could potentially an issue that could potentially be solved really with a simple approval, across the board. So, Julia, did you have any additional thoughts on that, of just the importance of this audit proof storage and that sort of systems happening in NetSuite?
Yeah, I like the point that Martin mentioned, that it's quite important to go lean at the beginning. I think it very much aligns with the NetSuite implementation methodology. And we see this a lot because we mostly work here in Europe. We mostly start working with the companies while they're either selecting NetSuite or while they're at very early implementation stages. And at that time, I think it's important to go live with faster, maybe with less functionality that they want, with like less fancy, but so they have like a working solution, so they're live, and then they can already add components. Of course, the compliance stays very relevant. But what we would advise is that not to try to do it, to hit it all, like with one shot. So taking it step by step, I think helps tremendously. And I think this is why it's so important also for the companies to prioritize and to have the right party by their side to advise them and to guide them in this process. Because I think also implementing ERP and thinking of all those little details, it's not about the technology, it's not about the compliance strategy, but it's also about like attention to detail and change management. So I think it can be quite overwhelming if you try to do it all in one go.
Absolutely. Take your time, get some help if you can. And then, as we've already said, ask that question twice, just to make sure that everything is how it needs to be and in order. Do you guys see any benefits to still having physical data storage solutions? So I kind of laughed. An article I read talked about tape-based solutions. That seems even like that's maybe a little too outdated, but probably more likely on a hard drive now. But having these digital cloud-based things, downloading that and having something physical to kind of back that up. Do you guys still see some value in that, or do we feel like cloud is safe enough now that you can do that if you like, but it's not necessarily necessary? What are y'all's thoughts on that? So Martin, why don't you start?
Yeah, I had, so many discussions in my life about that topic. If you talk to a data security specialist, he will drag you and argue completely to the wall with why this is not secure. And then you would say, yeah, but if there's 100 people from Oracle or 1,000 people in a data center working on security, and you have 100 hackers that are employed by Oracle just to try to hack the system, it should be more secure. But there's people out there on the other side. There's this older boss, and he has this great relationship with his IT admin, and they have a great relationship. And just by gut feeling, they say, "Nah, I want a control of the data." Okay, for them, they have no chance to convince them, right? But for more and more and more people, I think it has become just the state of the art. And once they started using it, then they realized, oops, yeah, internet is there always. Yeah, Germany has some places where there's an internet problem. US has that everywhere. So you're getting used to that. From there, you couldn't, by the way, if you didn't have this cloud solution, then you would have to have a VPN tunnel into this solution, but that requires internet, to my knowledge, as well, right? So, so then the argumentation always starts to be a little, come on, guys, you're not realizing it. You're just you're using the arguments for the sake of it, and then, to me, I can't see any obstacles in any ways of why this is a problem. Also on the climate side, it's better if someone is storing it and tries to optimize it from climate technical points of view, optimizing the power consumption, the heat, and maybe make energy from that heat and improve all this, right? Finally, that should have happened 30 years ago, and thinking about all these things. But hey, it is as it is. So let's do it now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've joked with Martin off camera that one day, whenever we do like an environmental safe, like how can we be better environmentally with all of our cloud-based storage, that I'm calling Martin in. That's another topic he's very passionate about. So I love all the thoughts there of just, obviously that's an extra step you can take for security. And obviously if you do that, that is an extra layer. But just again, it's a convenience thing that you're kind of sacrificing some convenience for an extra layer of safety. But are we already safe enough with, like you said, NetSuite and other systems having people literally hired to hack their systems and test their systems. So it's for them, and I know even with just our company, it's such an important thing to be so secure. When the companies you're working with are taking that many precautions, it's definitely a question of, okay, do we just want to take that third step and be even more secure, or do we feel comfortable enough with this? So that's a great way to pull that out, Martin. I appreciate that. Julia, any other thoughts or additions to that conversation of just taking that third step or any of that?
Yeah, I think it could be also it could be also we could also take into account the geographical spread of certain companies, because I know that the standards differ from company to company, and as Martin mentioned, in some countries there could be more old-fashioned approach, and maybe there it does make sense for physical backup methods. I also like how Martin linked the climate change, because to be honest, I never thought of that, but I think indeed in the current times it's extremely relevant to think about that as well. What I notice from like professional point of view, that we see more and more companies hiring and having dedicated professionals who would be responsible for data protection. So that's great to see. I think it's always a little bit, it's quite a relatively new subject. So for us, it's always it's always good just to be talking to different companies, to different partners, in different geographies, so we can learn more about that and see if we can take steps to be even more compliant with the requirements.
Some people are afraid. I mean, like, do you do online banking, right? Do you do this, or do you prefer cash? And there's so much going on this, everything digital or leaving cash. If you take this as a synonym example, like everything digital can be controlled, right? And the people who argue, yeah, but cash is better, I say, well, but you are protecting your cash. You are protecting your cash, and you feel much safer with 500 or 5,000 euros in your pocket to run around. I don't. So I feel comfortable with the mixture. I need 5 euros or 25 or 50 to pay the ice cream when I'm at the beach. But if I had to invite 20 people, I feel very comfortable if I can pay that ice cream at that little guy with his ice cream bar with Google Pay or Apple Pay, whatever, right? So the mixture is, don't overdo it with everything, but at least everybody should be aware of those examples, right? 11 years with NetSuite or working in this, and NetSuite and Google and whatever, I feel super secure of not losing data. It's the other way around. Sometimes when something gets lost, you find it back. You can reconstruct it and but how many times does it happen? So it's like it's all positive, right?
Yeah. I love the comparison and the parallel of cash and then data, right? Of just, like you're saying, Martin, someone can steal your wallet, take $50 out of it, and that's gone. You may never see that $50 again. But if it was digital, you can cancel the card, you can freeze the card. Sometimes bank insurances will, you can make a claim, hey, my card was stolen, I didn't, whatever. You can get that money back. Like, comparing that to data, kind of as that parallel, that's a great picture of how this all works and why this cloud can be safer in a lot of ways. So that's a great parallel, Martin. Thank you for that. Well, Martin, Julia, thank you again for joining. We've had a great conversation today about data protection and just all the different facets of it, and how it's really important to work with partners who know what they're doing locally. And then also just taking your time when you are getting your company set up on one of these cloud-based systems. And really, like we said, ask the question 2 or 3 times. Make sure everything is set up just right, because this really can be a safer option for you than, as we said there at the end, having cash in your pocket. So thank you guys again for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you from my side. Jake, super happy to be on this show. I love this kind of idea of a show. It's only just the beginning, but it's worth going. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to speak. Thank you.
Absolutely, Martin. We're glad to have you. And Julia, you as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I enjoyed being part of Finance in the Cloud podcast. Before I only watched it on LinkedIn, so it's great to be joined by you. And I would like to say special thanks to Martin for taking the time to join us. I know Martin is very busy and involved in multiple various projects. So I appreciate your time. It was an insightful conversation. Hopefully not the last one. So thanks for that.
Now we want to hear from you. How does your business approach data protection? Let us know by emailing hello@zoneandco.com. Finance in the Clouds now posts bi-weekly on Fridays. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe to Finance in the Clouds wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time. Bye.